friends, how are you today? I hope this finds you well and happy. I am so excited to have you here. We are going to hang out in the kitchen today. I thought it would be fun to do some Easter baking, so we're going to whip up some sugar cookies and have fun decorating them together. So let's get started. Okay, so first we'll begin by adding some fresh lemon peel into our dry ingredients, which I did mix ahead of time just to save us on time. I will have the full written recipe in the description box below for you. So when grating lemon peel, it's really important to constantly move the lemon in all directions so you're just getting the very outer layer of peel. If you grate into the white, it will leave a bitter taste in our dough. Next, we'll blend all our dry ingredients together really well using a fork. It's important to blend all these ingredients well to distribute the flavors evenly. Next, we'll cube 2 sticks of butter, and you want to make sure that this butter is very, very cold. It helps keep the dough firm and keeps our cookies from spreading during the baking process. Then we'll measure out 1 cup of sugar or any sugar substitute, 2 eggs, and 1 tablespoon of lemon extract. Okay, now we can begin mixing all of our ingredients together. I really recommend using a stand mixer, but you can use a hand mixer here as well. So we'll start by creaming our sugar and our butter. And then we will add in the eggs one at a time. And these ingredients won't fully incorporate, and you don't want to overblend. You'll know it's ready when it resembles like a cottage cheese texture. Doesn't sound super appetizing, but I assure you these cookies are the best. And don't forget to add in your lemon flavor after you've creamed the butter, sugar, and eggs. Okay, now we'll begin incorporating our dry ingredients. And when you first begin mixing your dough, it will look really crumbly, but don't fret, this is normal. Just keep mixing until your dough comes together and starts pulling away from the sides of your bowl. Once you've mixed all of your dough completely in the mixer, you may have to knead it by hand just a little bit until it forms a soft ball. Next, we are going to wrap our dough into some saran wrap and chill it for about 30 minutes. So I'll see y'all in a bit. Now that our dough has had some chill time, we can begin rolling it out. I cut my dough in half just to make the rollout process a tad easier. And I do work the dough a tiny bit to make it somewhat pliable, but don't overwork it because it's important to keep our dough cold when cutting out our shapes. The colder the dough, the better, and it will keep our cookies from spreading out when they're baking. And I'm using a magic rolling pin here to roll my dough evenly, but if you don't have one, just do your best to roll the dough at approximately 1/4 of an inch. And there are other tricks that you can use to roll the dough evenly, but in my opinion, they're a bit more difficult, so just do the best that you can. Now we can begin cutting out our shapes. And I'm using some Easter cookie cutters today, but you can use any cutter your heart desires. We're just having fun baking together. And all of the cutters that I am using today I found on Amazon. I'll try and put the links below if I can find them, but I've had some of these cookie cutters for a really long time. When I am cutting my shapes, I do keep the excess dough in the fridge just to keep it from getting too warm. Because remember, the colder the better.
She's waiting for love to be realized. I'll send her my heart covered as a gift and hope that you'll take it into her side. La 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 la.
Okay, once we get our tray full, we can pop them into the oven to bake at 375 for 12 minutes. And while our cookies are baking, we can get busy mixing up our royal icing. And for this recipe, I use one 32-ounce bag of powdered sugar, 8 tablespoons of meringue powder. You can also use egg whites here, and I will try to put the equivalent down below for you. And then approximately 1/2 cup of water. You don't want to mix in all the water at once because you don't want our icing to be runny. So I just mix in a little bit at a time until we get a very thick consistency. And then I will mix it until it is soft and shiny. Okay, so after you've finished mixing it, it should look very similar to this. Very thick, but creamy and shiny. And you're gonna want to place this in an airtight container and then cover it pretty well with some saran wrap before placing the lid on it. And we'll keep it in this container and just take out small portions at a time as needed. This way it won't dry out. We don't want it to get dry. Now we'll prepare some flood consistency icing. And I'm using about a half a cup of our thick icing and thinning it with a few drops of water at a time until it reaches flood consistency. You'll know it's at the right consistency when you can drizzle some from a spoon into your bowl and count to 20. If your drizzled icing melds into your bowl of icing at 20 seconds, it's the perfect consistency for covering your cookies. And if you accidentally add in too much water, it's okay, just add a teaspoon or so more powdered sugar to thicken your icing back up. This process is a bit finicky and takes a lot of practice to get the consistency just right. Once we've accomplished that, we can now fill our piping bag and get ready for the fun part, decorating our cookies. All right, so I'm using a tipless piping bag here, and we're going to want to cut a very, very small hole in the tip of this. It just gives us a lot more control when outlining our cookie. Then we'll begin outlining the cookie very slowly. You just want to be patient and take your time. This process does take some practice, so just be patient with yourself. So you'll want to hold your piping bag about 1/4 of an inch away from your cookie, and just give the piping bag some very light pressure. Don't squeeze too hard, and just gently go around outlining, kind of like just tracing the shape of your cookie. And if you make a mistake, no worries, you can just wipe it off and begin again. It's an easy fix. So outlining your cookie is a very important process because it does keep the, when we go to flood in our cookie, it does keep all of that icing from overflowing onto the edges of our cookies, or overflowing over the edge of our cookies. So once our cookie is completely outlined, we can now begin filling it in. And this process, you just give the bag a little extra pressure on the squeeze, and then just so that you get a bigger piping line, and then just go ahead and continue filling the cookie all the way in. Once our cookie is completely filled in, we're just going to move the icing around to smooth it out. And you don't really have to have a fancy tool to do this. I'm just addicted to baking gadgets, but a toothpick will do the job just fine. So we'll just kind of nudge our icing around until we get it smooth and get it into the perfect shape, the shape that you want to achieve here. You can see on some of these where I have some that it's a little ways away from the edges, so we're just going to nudge it a little closer. And once you've gotten the shape just the way you like it, you can give your cookie just a little bit of a jiggle to finish smoothing out the icing. Okay, y'all, I'm going to stop rambling for a bit and let you just enjoy watching as we finish decorating the rest of our cookies. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below, and I will be happy to answer your questions and walk you through the process of decorating cookies. So I did say I was done rambling, but I did want to stop here and let you know that for the moss on these cookies, I just used graham crackers and green food coloring, and then I blended them in my food processor until it was this fine powdered consistency. Oh, and also for all the details that you'll see coming up on the cookies in a minute, I did use thick consistency royal icing in my piping bag.
She's waiting for love to be realized. I'll send her my heart covered as a gift, and hope that you'll take it into her side.
That is a good cup of coffee. Shall we try our cookies? Those are really good. Oh, y'all, I wish you were sitting with me in real time right now so that we could taste them together. Oh, they are so good. I encourage you to make these cookies. They literally taste like spring. So good. I had a lot of fun hanging out with y'all today. Making cookies is one of my favorite activities to do in the kitchen, especially when it's a cold, rainy day like it was these past couple of days. So that was fun. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I really enjoyed it. Next week, we are going to do a little bit of crafting, maybe create some table settings for your Easter brunch. And yeah, I think that's it. So thanks again for hanging out with me today, and I will see you all next week. Bye.